Welcome back. Still tuned into the market after yesterday's mammoth rout in the equity markets that saw the index plunging a whopping 432 points to wrap up at 13,328. Overnight, it seems like the global cues aren't all that frightening. But let's connect with our chartists to find out the way forward. Kunal, Bothra and Nuresh Mirani joining in. Good morning, gentlemen. Kunal, a quick call on the index and your top ideas.
So, good morning, Avan. I'll expect a minor bounce to shape up on the index, but there's still a lot of traction to cover. 13,500 would now act as a major resistance because just about 13,500 is where you see plethora of call option selling which has happened, call writing which has happened, which means that call writers would want that the markets could probably remain below that 13,500 mark. So that should act as a major resistance. On the other hand, 13,000 is where you see in the next round of strong build up on the put options. So that should act as a support for the index. So I'm expecting a minor bounce, but a bigger resistance at 13,500 mark. Now, individual stocks, I would recommend a couple of sell calls over here, and especially for the ones where I believe that there's a decisive change in the structure of the chart pattern. So not just from a short-term view, but probably from a medium-term view as well. First of them is in Interglobe Aviation. We've seen the stock forming a double top pattern on the daily charts. The stock breaking its previous support levels as well, just around that 1500, 1535 odd mark. So keeping that as a stop loss would suggest a sell on Interglobe Aviation or Indigo. Targets to be kept at 1400, more of a multi-day targets, and stop loss could be kept at 1535. The second would be a sell on Reliance Industries. Again, this stock is now showing signs of a bearish flag pattern breakdown. The stock just on the verge of breaking its major support at 1950 mark. So I think even if there's a minor bounce today for Reliance Industries and the stock continues to persist below that 1950 mark, that should be taken as good shorting opportunity. Expecting the stock to come back to its previous support lows of 1850. That should be the near-term target range for the stock, and stop loss could be kept at 1975.
Sell on Indigo, which was hammered yesterday, as well as RIL. Meantime, Nuresh, your recommendations for our viewers?
So, starting with the fact that yesterday we saw a hit of 3-4% on the index and 5-6% on the broader indices. This has happened a couple of times in the last few months. So, one was around 31st August, we fell for a day and then recovered almost 50% of that day's move over the next 3 sessions. Around October, we saw a similar downtick. We recovered almost the total move in the next 3-4 sessions. And then in both these cases, then we made a new downtrend wherein we went back to test the 50-day, 200-day moving average in September and roughly the 50-day moving average in October. So what we see is we are again setting up for a similar move. But one thing to note is when such dips happen, which are knee-jerk, what we've seen is the broader market has done well in the bounce back, and we'll continue to see stock-specific moves to start again. So in this case, we would expect a bounce back closer to 13,450 to 13,550 zone. So this will be the 2 marks, and say 13,650, 700. If we cross above that, then maybe the structure has changed in terms of, say, if we cross 13,650 in less than 4 sessions, then in this case, we are again back into a momentum up move, which we don't think is the case as of now. So this rise should be played with stocks which have taken a larger hit yesterday, and the longer term structures are still very strong. So the 2 stocks which we like in a similar space is one which is ONGC, which had a very strong move from 70 to 100 odd levels, has knocked back to 90 yesterday. This is where we would expect a bounce back closer to 100 again. So a stop loss at 88 and a target price of 100. The second one is a buy on Tata Power, again, which after giving a breakout about 65 went up to 75 odd levels, has pulled back yesterday almost a 10% dip. We would expect a bounce back to 74 on that one. A stop loss to be placed at 67.